This topic that we're going to chat about a little bit, like I think in these sessions too, these aren't like sermons. These are kind of more like streams of consciousness a little bit. And we're sort of like on a process together. We're sort of like journeying together. And VOUS Church has only been around for 3.5 years. So it's not like we've got a whole lot of answers. But we can tell you some of the things that we've learned along the way. And so hopefully today, if you've been to any other sessions yesterday, hopefully our team is taking that approach because we by no means have all the answers. We don't think that we're the best, but we are committed to getting better, amen? And I think that's always a great phrase to have in your spirit. You don't have to be the best today, but you do got to get better today. And the goal is not perfection, the goal is progress. And this session, we've titled it Creating Culture Carriers. I think this is one of the most fundamental things that you have to do if you're going to be especially the key leader, the lead pastor, the CEO, the entrepreneur. If you're building teams, you're gonna have to learn how to create people that are gonna carry the culture that you envision. How many know leadership is not seen in your presence? It's seen in your absence. You don't really know if you're leading well until you step away and you're not around to see how that thing behaves. And culture is that intangible, what is that? There's something about this place, and VOUS has got a long way to go, but I do believe one of the strengths of our house is the culture that you will come and be a part of. Culture, if you were to strip it down, it's the behavior. It's how everyone behaves. Like you walk around, how does everyone know how to behave like that? And why does everyone talk like that? And why does everyone carry themselves like that? It's because there's a culture that's being clarified and talked about and inspected over and over and over again. And I want to just try to give you a couple lessons of what I've learned on the journey of how we're doing that, how we're going to continue to do that. Come back next year, I'm going to have some more thoughts on this for sure. Is it cool if I give you a free resource right off the bat? And this is sort of like, if you've downloaded the app, you're in good company. If you haven't downloaded the app, there's still time. The app is free. But if you get the VOUS app, I just want to, as we start this conversation today, we actually have at our church and on our staff, we've never given this out before, but we love you so much. I think you're a part of our church now. We have a culture guide. And this is, I think, a great resource, those of you that are on a church, that you should go home and start. And so on the app, I'm going to see if I can do it myself just because they told me it was there. Kyle, you said it was here? You saw it? What is this? We open up, help me out. We open up the VOUS thing. I want to just take them.
At the very bottom, it says links and resources on the left-hand side.
Beautiful. Links and resources, but we don't actually have this session. So it's underneath the creative breakout resource.
Correct.
Great. So if you go to the VOUS conference app, then you go to links and resources, then you click this next button, which says creative breakout resources. There is a file there called the VOUS Cultural Guide. And I'm going to talk a little bit today, but that resource, which is like a 30-page document, which you're going to see what we're talking about in terms of how specific, how clear we want to be with who we are as a church. Because when I know who we are, I also know who we're not. And it's really, really important. So I want you guys to get that and go ahead, download that, take that back, take it, use it, and hopefully it'll be a blessing to you. I want to read a little verse here. It says, Judges chapter 5, verse 2. I haven't checked any of these screens, but I'm hoping they got some of my notes up here. Awesome. That's what the scripture says. It says, when leaders lead in Israel, when the people willingly offer themselves, bless the Lord. I love that phrase, when leaders lead. When leaders lead. When leaders lead, people will willingly offer themselves. Whenever there's a spot that people aren't willingly offer themselves, there's probably a leadership problem going on. And one of the things that I want to try to empower you with as you walk out of this room today is that every problem that you are walking back home to, 99% of them are a leadership problem. And you need to be empowered today, like Mike was talking about earlier today, that you are the solution, you are the answer, that you actually can solve the problems. We have this phrase on our staff and our team. We quit saying people won't do this or people won't do that. I don't want to hear the youth pastor say, oh, teenagers won't show up on a Friday night. I'd rather hear the youth pastor say, we haven't led teenagers to show up on a Friday night. I'm taking back the power. You need to change your language around because the scripture says when leaders lead, the people willingly offer themselves, so bless the Lord. And so when people are not actually offering themselves, it's always a leadership problem. Listen to me, every person wants a leader. People want to be led. And some of us just need to get over the fact that like, yo, you gotta quit acting like it's sort of like this false humility. Like, oh, I don't really know if I have anything to offer. Oh, believe me, people need you. And the better you get, the better they're gonna get. The better you get, the better they're gonna get. You're gonna have to lead them. And I wanna show you 6 ways today that I think that you can begin to create culture carriers. People that care about what you care about, people that are thinking about what you're thinking about, people that are talking about what you're talking about. You think about like small groups. I remember one time I was talking to this pastor and I said, we're working on our crews and our small groups. I said, man, I just wish we had more of them. He said, oh, Rich, you have more than you know. You're just not in their conversations. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the power of a small group is that people in your church are grouping up and getting together whether you know it or not. The question is, have you created enough culture carriers that when they do group up, they're talking in the way that you want them to talk, they're caring about the things that you want them to care about, they're thinking about what you're thinking about. The only way you're gonna do that is by creating culture carriers. So number 1, if you wanna create culture carriers, you need to be what you want to see. Be what you want to see. As leaders, we always go first. And like, we really can't talk about creating culture carriers without starting with this point. It's amazing to me how many leaders I talk to and they'll come up to me like, yo, man, I wish people in my church would bring more people to church. It's always like, yo, who did you bring to church this past Sunday? No, I was studying. Get out of here. You can't raise up a church of evangelists if you're not gonna be an evangelist. Man, I wish our church would worship. All right, so why don't you get out there before the first song? I'm shocked how many pastors have got this weird notion that they have to stand in the back of a room while the whole entire congregation's worshiping, and then they wonder when they come back out, how come their church doesn't have passionate worship? It's because they've never seen you worship. Oh man, I wish we get more people to serve. When's the last time you went to a servant leader rally or whatever you call it, a volunteer rally? When's the last time that you went and did a teaching to the usher team or to the welcome team? When's the last time that you got into the micro of it and you actually modeled what it looked like? You gotta be what you want to see. Yo, I want a church full of energy. So I can't walk in an hour before church and not carry energy. I gotta get my spirit right and come in and say, if I want people to have energy, I gotta bring energy. Part of the reason why we're never being what we want to see is because we don't actually know what is that we want to see. And so all of us, we've got to start with values. Who are you? Defining that. At VOUS Church, we have 7 values. It's in the culture guide. You can read about it. But I think that you should spend some time and say, why do we want to start this? If you're starting a business, all right, what do you value at the business? Things are going to change. We live in a changing world. But you're going to need a changeless core that when things are changing, there's something that is solidified inside of you. And so everything at VOUS, it comes from these 7 values. Jesus is our message. Every preacher that gets up in our church, when they're preaching, doesn't matter what the collection is on, they know that they are closing that message and they're introducing Jesus into the message because we've only got one message. And all these other areas, some of you that were in our communication class yesterday, they are just streams, but they come back to Jesus. We say people are our heart. So we actually want to create a judgment-free church. We want to create a place that you belong before you behave. We actually want to say that we want people in our homes. I don't just want to spectate, I want to participate. I don't just want to lead the church, I want to be a part of the church. People are our heart. Excellence is our spirit. Generosity is our privilege. Yo, if I want my church to give and to tithe, oh my goodness, if I don't lead the way and I'm not a tither, I can't preach about tithing. Come on, you know this stuff. Honor is our calling. We could talk all about honor, but if you're not an honorable person, you're never, ever gonna reproduce honor in your church. If you want people to compliment you, but you don't ever take the time to compliment them, what are you? You gotta open up your mouth. You gotta be what you want to see. Passion is our pursuit. I'm not gonna let 1 minute go by. I don't care if it's a Monday meeting or I don't care if it's Sunday at 7:15 p.m. If I'm in that room and I'm called to lead, I wanna create some culture carriers that are gonna take on that spirit and they too are gonna walk out in passion. But the only way they will do it is not by my teaching. They're gonna be reproduced by who I actually am. I have to embody passion. Be what you want to see. So if you've never done this before, you need to define what are your values. What is our church value? And it doesn't have to value what VOUS values. That's like what makes you different. That's what makes you unique. But define that really clearly. Like, this is what we value. And then me as a leader, I'm gonna be all of that first. First way to create culture cares is that you gotta be what you wanna see. But secondly, is that you have to clarify roles. And this is like, I'm trying to deconstruct this, but I wanna try to give some examples around this. In my notes, I actually have clarifying our team's roles. And I wanna try to explain what I mean, because I'm not just talking about like they need a job title and a job description, and thank you, Patrick Licioni and The Advantage for telling me that. But when I say clarify roles, there's things that you need that only you know that the environment needs it, and you need to get so crystal clear about what that thing is that you need people to do. So let me explain. Dakota Duron is here on the front row, and he actually leads our JDD location. Dakota, how old are you? He's 25 years of age. It's his first job in ministry. He's leading a location right now. I think they have about 1,000 people every Sunday. He preaches, he teaches, he and his wife, they're doing an amazing job. But Dakota's 25. And if you ever get around Dakota, he is like the best culture carrier in the world, but he has a unique gift that he's an atmosphere changer. He's funny. He's the life of the party. He can like disrupt any moment, and he can make it really, really exciting. And so when Dakota came onto our staff, I said, yo, Dakota, like, you know, when we like circle up for staff meeting and like, you know, people are kind of like lacking energy, I need you to have the presence of mind that you don't ever, ever, ever get to be one of those people. I need you to realize that your gift of humor and your joke that's a little bit on the fringe that probably took us a little bit too far, I want to let you know that's part of your role here at VOUS Church. All of a sudden now, I just clarified for him what the role is that he is in this spot. So he knows we're looking around a room and it's lacking energy. I just go, I look at Dakota, he's like, oh, he gets up and starts doing something. Because at 35 and being the leader, I can't play that role anymore. But at 25 and being who he is, he can get up there and he can make all sorts of noise and he can say stuff and he can change the atmosphere. I got to clarify the role. My friend Kyle Graham is up here in the front row. His wife, her name is Brianna Graham. Now, her job title is VOUS Kids Director. And on a Sunday right now, she sees anywhere from 400 to 600 kids, and she has 2 other staff members between 2 locations. It's a big world that she's managing a mobile kids area. I clarify her role that she's the VOUS Kids Director, but Brianna also knows that when it comes to carrying culture, that she is Mama Brianna. I don't know, like since the day I met her, she's just like one of these kind of people that their whole life is on an Excel spreadsheet. Like you meet these people, it's like, did you go to college for Excel? They're like, no, I'm just passionate about it, you know? She's the most organized. She is intense when it comes to the details. And so everybody, listen to this. Everybody on our staff knows and our teams know that Brianna, when it comes to, are you wearing your servant leader name tag at VOUS Church? I don't care if you're the highest level person in our organization. If Brianna sees you without a name tag, she has every bit of authority to discipline you, to actually speak to you and say, what are you thinking? Because it's her gift mix and we need it on our team. She's culture police. On the org chart, it doesn't show up on the org chart. She's over here as a kids director, but she can walk up to our CFO. She can walk up to our general manager and she goes, excuse me, where's your name tag today? And they're like, exactly, get that thing back on. Because she's been empowered to do it. I've clarified the role. Some of you guys right now, what's happening to you is that you're in the starting phase of something and you're so concerned with being so organized and so polished and so sharp that you're missing out on the culture of how people are actually behaving. And some of us, what we need to do is we need to clarify the gifts that people are around us, and we need to be intentional with knowing what it is that our space needs. I need a comedian. I need an accountant. I need somebody who's gonna come around and keep people in line. It's what we have to clarify roles. I want you to walk out of this place understanding that the more you can bring clarity to people's roles and what they bring on the team, the more they're gonna feel empowered to do it. Number 3, I want you to write this one down. I like this. You have to change confrontation's connotation. So if you're gonna create culture carriers, like you have to change quickly confrontation's connotation. You're gonna have to create a work environment, a place where confrontation is not like the exception, it's the norm. It's the only way things can grow. It's like when there's conflict, it rubs you kind of wrong, but the byproduct of it is always growth. There's gonna be a new result. And for some reason, this idea of confrontation, it's got this negative connotation attached to it. Like, oh, I'm in trouble. No. If you have a coach, the moment the coach quits talking to you is the moment he quits playing you. It's just the truth. Like, as soon as this guy isn't up in your ear, yapping in your ear, you can rest assured that your playing days are probably coming to an end. Yet the more the coach is riding you is because he's actually seen potential inside of you. I think some of us in this space, we have to realize that in order for us to get the results that we're looking for, there's gonna have to be a combustion of confrontation. I'm telling you, you have to learn how to eat awkward conversations for lunch. You don't like awkward conversations, you're not gonna go very far in leadership. It's full of awkward conversations. How you doing? You ready for an awkward conversation? Why'd you do that? Excuse me? Why'd you do that? Because it's not just about saying who you want to be, it's actually challenging who we're not. You're never gonna, if you don't want to get better, then don't confront anything. But you can't change what you fail to confront. And you get what you tolerate. Once again, go back. When leaders lead, the people will willingly offer themselves. Quit saying people won't do this and start saying we haven't led them to do this. I hate to say this, but I'm talking about myself. You get what you allow. So whatever you got, you allowed it. And the only way it's gonna change is by confronting it. The only way it can get better is by having an awkward conversation and say, hey, listen, like that's not actually how we do this around here. We're going to adjust and I want us to do it this way. At VOUS, we want a culture of improvement. We want to be, some of you key leaders and some of you lead pat, you need to be sticking your nose into stuff, man. You need to be finding out what's actually happening. You got to inspect what you want. You got to actually look into it and say, what is this? Is this what we actually want? I don't want to be afraid of confrontation. I want us to be a church that's full of coaching. Look what Hebrews says. This is a beautiful passage. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 7 says, endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. As I'm pastoring VOUS and I'm pastoring our staff and our team, there has to be levels of confrontation. Otherwise, they're not true sons and daughters. They're not true disciples. A father's heart is twofold. It's affirmation, but then it's also correction. There's this moment for sure that you celebrate them, but you also have to coach them. And many times what happens to us as leaders is that we just get so tired of the awkward conversations. I know for me, sometimes I put confrontation out in the distance, but listen to me, confrontation has an expiration date. And if you're always confronting something that happened 2 weeks ago, what you're really doing is you're bottling it down and you're waiting until your emotions can lead you to the point that you've had enough. You need on your team and in your organization to change the connotation of confrontation, that the culture itself is one of improvement. It's one of checking each other. It's one of saying, let's get better, that we're gonna sharpen each other, that we're gonna grow. You gotta speak to the room and say, that's what we're gonna be. And I think if you came over to headquarters, you would find a whole bunch of people that are constantly having conflict in meetings, having tension in meetings, but they're coming out of it saying, we want to get the best results. We want to get the best results, and that's why we're going to confront, and that's why we're going to challenge each other. Number 4, I want you to write this one down. This TV has got a demon inside of it. Get insanely specific. Get insanely specific. Man, I don't know how to This is so important. And I just see people fail at this so often. People will come to our church all the time and say, how did you get to do that? Or how did that happen? Listen to me, nothing just happens. Nothing. The fact that this TV is blinking, we will have a meeting about this later on. Trust me, okay? Like, something's going wrong, but nothing just happens. And I think that we can come to environments and we can see things that we like and we just go, oh, they got this or they got that. And that's how this happened. No. You have to get specific exactly about what it is that you want to see. I remember when we were first in the church planning phase, I just got in the car just now and a guy by the name of Juan Carlos picked me up. And I didn't know he was gonna be driving me from the venue over to here. But Juan Carlos and his wife, they started the church with us. They're just servant leaders in our church. I think they go to JDD now on location. And Juan Carlos and I got in the car, I said, bro, remember when we started this thing in the Miami Rescue Mission? He said, yeah. I said, never forget it. He said, absolutely. And I remember having meetings in the Miami Rescue Mission. It was smaller than this crowd right here, much smaller than this crowd. We sat in this, it was the rescue mission. Full year, we were in the rescue mission. And I remember right before we got ready to launch, we took the 200 people that we had, and we literally walked through an entire hour and 20-minute service. And I literally, with a microphone on a stool, coached every moment of how I wanted people to behave throughout the service. I'm just like, I know it's obsessive, I know, it's insane. But we're talking about creating culture carriers. We're talking about now, how do we have 4,000 to 5,000 people on a Sunday that when you show up to a worship service at VOUS Church, before the first song is sung, the entire audience is there clapping their hands in anticipation. It didn't just happen. We got insanely specific about the behavior that we wanted to see. And so I got on the microphone and said, okay, here's the go. We're gonna play this video. And when this video comes on, here's the deal. The lights are gonna start. No, that's the wrong temperature. No. Okay, wait. Higher, no, lower. Okay, right there is probably good. Everyone agree? We agree? Okay, we're in agreement. Specific. Mark that. Okay, everyone's still with me? And we started going through the service. Okay, at this moment, now we want the lights to go fully down, but we need another dynamic. We need something else to happen to move the people. Oh, here's what we'll do. Let's get the band. Okay, kick drum, start coming in right now. Kick drum, start coming in right now. Start playing here. Okay, audience, now we're the church. We're gonna model, we're gonna lead our church. We're all gonna stand up on our feet, and here we go. We're gonna start clapping with the band. Because listen, this is not a concert. This is our team, and we're gonna help them lead worship. And so let's go first. Let's be specific about it. That's how that resulted. It wasn't like, because what happens is we leave, we're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna play a video at the start of my service and everyone's gonna get pumped. They don't get pumped. You have to specify and clarify, this is what we wanna see. Okay. So here's the deal. Let's get specific. All right. So when we preach at VOUS Church, those of us that are leading, that are serving, we don't take notes on our cell phone. Not that we know we're in a digital age, but you know what it communicates to people that are coming from? Everyone thinks that person's on Instagram. And we really want to honor the word. So here's what we're gonna do. We're all gonna bring a Bible and we're gonna bring a notepad. And then check this out. We're not gonna wait for a point that we like. We're just gonna help preach the message anyways, because we're already bought in. And so we're gonna shout back. We're gonna say amen. We're gonna laugh a little bit harder. We're gonna make it an easy environment so that when we bring our friends, they walk in going, this place is really, really engaged. How did we get that? We got insanely specific. Insanely specific. That we're gonna sit and we're going to talk about the moment. I love our team because they continue to do this and they're trying to create moments. Today we had a reflective prayer journey. And literally a month or two ago, the idea was, hey, wouldn't it be cool at a conference that if for once we would actually embody what Jesus said, that we'd be the house of prayer instead of just the house of worship? I wonder if we could somehow train or take people on a journey of thousands of people, that we could come to a moment that there's no music, but the place is lifted up with voices in prayer. And then from that place, we would see what worship would feel like and what it would look like if worship was birthed out of our prayer life. So literally today, if you were in the morning session, there came a moment that we were praying in circles over each other. And for about 30 to 40 seconds, there wasn't any sound in the auditorium. It was just the prayers of the people there. And then the worship team came back in and something began to explode in the atmosphere. How we got there is that we got insanely specific. Insanely specific. Specific. This is what we want to see. This is how we want this to behave. We do this all over the place. I want a church that's grateful. And so I can say, hey, we're gonna be a church that's grateful. Or I can teach that, and then I can create opportunities and systems that we get in a circle and say, all right, real quick, maybe just two people really quick, what are we grateful for? And then we had to sit in the awkwardness for a second to see if anyone's gonna, like right now, it's like noon. I know, we're just gonna do it anyways. It's kind of like, it's noon. You've established that. Are you grateful? Yeah, but I mean, there's no keys. I know, what are we thankful for? And people start saying what they're thankful for because we're gonna get insanely specific. Right. So I don't know what that thing is, but like, this is how you create culture carriers. That culture guide, you're gonna see it. One of the ways that you create culture is having your own language. This is what every tribe has their own language. That's a culture of people has their own. You go to Colombia, they have their own language. You go to different parts of the world, they have their own language. It's what makes them different. Your world should have their own language. I love when Mike Todd comes because you can see that they teach culture so well. It's like, where's my, transformation nation? Like everyone's like, well, that's, unless you're a part of that culture, you don't know what that means. But if you're a part of that culture, it has a lot of weight to it. That's intentional, that's being specific. So at VOUS, we can start going through stuff all over the place. It's not a happenstance, but into the night, into the night. Stand firm, miracle in motion, make space. We don't use the word volunteer, we use the word servant leader. We don't use the word series, we use the word collection. We don't use the word campus, we use the word location. The culture guide, you can see all the words that we don't say, and you can see all the words that we do say. You go, that's really specific, bro. Yeah, we're trying to create a culture. We're trying to get in unity of saying the same thing. Really quick, I think this is always a fun lesson. You know this lesson, but it's a fun lesson for you to get one more time in your spirit. I do it almost every year because I think it's so helpful. But on the count of three, just say your favorite color as loud as you possibly can. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Red. Okay, hold on. I said loud, okay? So louder than that. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Red. Okay, one more time just to annoy someone who's doing a very I think they're doing like a mental health one over here. Let's just I think prophecy's happening over here. So on the count of three, let's just really free. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have no idea what you're saying. But watch this. Let's just say the best color in the entire world. Let's just say it's fuchsia. Who even likes fuchsia? I do. Okay, just chill. But you don't even have to shout it. But just on the count of three, let's just all say fuchsia. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Fuchsia. But that's way too loud. Just whisper. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Fuchsia. That actually sounds really sick, Fuchsia. Inappropriate, bro, Look at what happens when we get insanely specific. This is what has to happen on your team. Like, who cares what the color is? I don't care about the color. I care about the impact. I care about the impact. And when we start getting insanely specific, all of a sudden, the team has something to rally around. We know who we are and who we are not. I think this is one of the greatest challenges, not just with the capital C church, but I'm talking about in the micro individual local churches that I see, is that we're all like, yeah, we love each other and we love God. And then all right, we all shout different colors. And so people walk in the door, they're like, yo, you're nice, but I don't know what you're talking about. And they're so confused and they're so distracted. Maybe today you need to submit your preferences over to the purpose. Maybe you gotta let something die to actually get the greater purpose in front of you. Get insanely specific. Create your own language. Define what you want to see. I am by no means telling you that you have to have a church service that looks like VOUS and have to have a staff that looks like VOUS. But I am telling you that whatever it is that you feel called to create, it's gonna require people to get insanely specific about it. One of my favorite leadership verses, I think we've got it hopefully, is it in Song of Solomon? Do we have that? Watch this. Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom. How many know that leadership is about catching the little foxes? Yeah. Leadership is about the details. Excellence is always in the details. The more you are excellent, the more it's going to create trust inside of people. It's one of the most attractive qualities that you can bring. That's why I was getting so floored today in this morning session when Mike was just preaching about sharpening your skill and actually being a person of excellence. Because if the church would do that on a greater scale, people would walk in the doors and they might not even understand all your doctrine or all your theology, but by the spirit of excellence, they say, you know what? I trust these people. They've went and caught the little foxes, and because of it, they have a harvest in front of them. It's the little foxes that begin to ruin your culture. It's the little stuff that you don't pay attention to. Get insanely specific. Here we go. I think we're on number 5 here. Watch this. Oh, I love this. Praise participation. Praise participation. I'm trying to cut through some of this. I want to get really practical with you. What's better than correction? Celebration. Like, let me tell you what's more effective is when you catch someone doing the right thing versus doing the wrong thing. What's better than, being rebuked is being blessed. And I want to be the chief person on our team that's praising participation. I want to encourage some people that are dealing with staffs and teams of leadership. Sometimes what happens is that we start leading, and I really believe, especially in the church, I'm using that angle, but I think this applies in so many other spaces, but let me just use the church as the main example. Being the senior pastor, the lead pastor, whatever your language is, you have to understand that once you're in that spot, that God anoints you for that spot. That I actually believe that there is this burden that comes upon you that is unique from the rest of the people on the team. And there's promptings from the Holy Spirit. Things happen in your gut, and too often we don't pay attention to it. We don't pay attention to the check that the Holy Spirit puts inside of us. A lot of times when it comes to our team. And some of the worst mistakes that I have made on the journey of leadership is that I've promoted somebody who wasn't carrying the culture because I felt bad. Man, they've just been around, but I could tell that they were in a different season. Let me tell you, you wanna know who you promote? You promote people that are participating. I'm choosing culture over skill any day. Any day. And what I'm learning more and more is that when I get the microphone and I'm talking to our team and I want to praise someone publicly, one of the best ways that you continue to create culture carriers is find the person who's doing what you want them to do and put a spotlight on them and praise them in front of everybody. It's so easy. I just pull the curtain back as much as I can. We do these things called huddles before church service. And I just think, once again, you don't have to do everything that VOUS does, but I just think it's really helpful. It'll help your church. Before you go on the platform, those of you that are preaching God's word, get with your team and just pray. Let them know that they're helping you. I need our team to go up and I'm not one of these kind of guys that can just walk up and just preach. I need the lights right. I need just enough smoke. I need the keys. I need people's hearts to be right there open. I need all of my friends there. I need a lot of support, okay? Well, I want to get with our team and I want to talk through it and I want to let them know how much I value them. But what I'm always doing in our huddles is I'm always trying to find someone who was behaving in the way that I wanted them to behave. And I'm always gonna praise them. So it could be something really, really subtle. I'll be like, yo, JD, come on, I wanted y'all to see JD. I saw JD out there today. What I love so much about JD is that he's leading our college, but JD, I saw him today out there in the parking lot, and I watched in the parking lot today, JD, that was impressive. That inspired me. You just heard Ashley Lindor lead us in community. Ashley Lindor is one of the most powerful worship leaders I've ever heard. I've known her since she's a 13-year-old girl in our summer camps at my dad's church in Trinity Church and just watched her grow. But when I praise Ashley in front of people, she already knows this now. She does this better than anyone. I rarely praise her singing ability. She knows she can sing. Don't get me wrong, I will tell, she knows she can sing, and she knows that I need her to sing. But when I praise her participation publicly, I'm always praising all the other stuff. And I'm always putting voice to all the other. You know what I love about Ashley? Yeah, she can sing. We know that. What I love about Ashley is that she loves Jesus and she loves this place. What I love about Ashley is I saw her this morning in vocal rehearsals with a whole bunch of other people on the team. I just want to say, I think you're an incredible pastor, Ashley. The fact that you love people. Ashley, by the way, your VOUS crew, I heard the other night that you girl, I'm looking for something else in our church to praise aside from her gift. And a lot of you get yourself into trouble because you're praising the gift only. You can go hire a gift. You can only produce sons and daughters by actually getting with them and teaching them the culture and praising the participation for it. Find the intangible, find the thing that's valuable, praise that thing about them. I'm not trying to say we can't I think our church is good at complimenting people and encouraging people. I'm just trying to give you a handle that when I'm getting someone to stand up, I'm talking about all the stuff that I think church ministry is really about. And church ministry is not about conferences. And it's not about being a keynote speaker. And it's not about having a YouTube page. I'm not against that stuff, but that's just not what it is. And if you get into it for that, and if that's what you celebrate only, you're gonna find yourself really, really tired out. What I'd rather do is I'd rather celebrate the people that get into the trenches, that get into the dirt, the muck, and the mire with people, and I wanna praise that publicly, and I wanna promote people that are participating like that. You gotta be very, very careful that you're just promoting people that are talented. You gotta make sure that you're praising the participation publicly of those that carry the culture. Number 6, I wanna give you this. This is annoying, but this is true. Never stop talking about it. Never. Like, I just gave you a resource. Our church, we're about to go on a staff retreat after this. We'll go to staff retreat. We'll take about 60 people to Vero Beach. We'll spend about 5 days together. Half of it will be staff. Half of it will just be key leaders in our church. And I will give the vision for the following year of what we're going into and what I feel like the Lord has spoken to me. And we will spend day sessions together teaching tactically on the ground about what we want to see God do. But then we will also spend the evenings praying together, seeking God. And we will get insanely specific. We will praise participation. We will have a blast. We'll have fun together. But over and over again, every single day, I will remind them who we are and who we're not. Some of these guys have been with me now for 4.5 years. Some of these guys have been with me before we even started the church. And right when I think that they've heard it enough, I see them go, oh, I got to remind them again. One of the greatest frustrations about being a leader is that if you're a CEO, you're like, I've already told you this. They say it takes almost 7 times for the leader to say something before those that are hearing the message actually put it into action. You're actually the chief reminding officer. So let me just put you at peace. If you're like, man, I've told this guy so many times, Look at Jesus. Why can't you see? Why didn't you see this? Why don't you see that? Your job is to remind who we are, who we're not. Here's the vision, who we are, who we're not. Here's the vision. You can't talk about it enough. Say this out loud. Say, I can't talk about it enough. Please, those of you that are going back home, that are leading a space, understand that culture is everything. And you can't talk about it enough. Never stop talking about it. That's why you're there. You're the leader. And when leaders lead, people will willingly offer themselves. And over again, what I'm realizing is that my job is just to remind. It makes me feel like the Apostle Paul, when the Apostle Paul is writing to the church, he's like, I want to remind you of the gospel. That's all he wrote about was the gospel. Apparently, to Paul, it wasn't like a Sunday morning one-off sermon series. It was a constant reminder that everything lives and dies on the gospel. And just when I thought I had taught it to you and preached my best message, there I go again. I got to remind you again of where our strength comes from. I got to remind you again how we got here. It's by His grace and His grace alone. And that's how it is with culture. You just never stop talking about it. You never stop talking about it. You talk about it publicly from the platform. You talk about it when you sit down with somebody for dinner that's in your church or on your team. You talk about it when you're in small groups. You keep reminding people who we are and who we're not. Who we are and who we're not. I really believe that we're all called to create culture carriers, people that will embody what it is. And it's going to require some stuff. You got to be what you want to see. You got to clarify the roles of the people around you. You got to change confrontation's connotation. Dude, you got to live in the awkwardness. You got to get insanely specific. You got to praise participation, and you can't ever stop talking about it. It's that important. It's that important.